All right, everyone. Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? All right, live on a Friday. I hope you're all doing well. Ron R., welcome. Michael, we are looking forward to rocking and rolling. Dree, welcome again from California. Glenn B., good to see you. Andre, thank you. Erica, thanks for joining. Wayne, welcome. You are new. Andre, hello, hello. Duke 49, 49, 49 from Missouri. Welcome, welcome. Anthony McC, hello there. Thanks for joining us early in Hong Kong. That's awesome. Eddie G, what's up? Thank you, sir. Back at you. Happy weekend. It's here. Phil is here. Virginia, Paul, excellent. Ron R. in Boston. Elias, how you doing, my man? Russell in Colorado, how's it going? Ron Gill in Vegas, excellent. Jody 1, hello there. Wayne, Jim Gregory, greetings. If it's a Jim Gregory I know from my past, welcome, Jimmy. Might not be, though. Bonsoir, Guy. All right. Bob, Jazz House, what's up? Sac, Tony from Sac is here. Jim's here from Toronto, as always. And Ottawa, representing Empty Pickle Jar. Syracuse, James. Look at all you guys. I'm just going through names and names and names. It's awesome. Thanks for joining tonight. Waterloo, Ontario. That's awesome. Another Canadian. So we got Dale from North Carolina. Portland, Oregon. Excellent. And Rich in Beijing. All right. American in Beijing. John in Ottawa. Got some Canadians here tonight. Peru. Jeff, welcome. Ross's Jam Space from Ottawa. Tom from Port Ludlow. Excellent. Tripoli in the house. Yes. MKA Melt. Awesome. Good day from Melbourne. Welcome. GOX Vokes. India in the house. Pittsburgh. India or Sri Lanka is here. Vancouver in the house. Rudy. Excellent. All right. Leslie from Saskatoon. Look at that. All right, Jim Gregory, not the guy I know, but hopefully a good guy. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Brooklyn. Okay, well, welcome, everybody. I super appreciate everyone jumping on tonight. We've got Oakville, another one. L, what's up? Awesome. And Brooklyn in the house, too. Guitar workout time. I do this every 3 weeks. Just some exercises and some things that hopefully will spur a little bit of learning and a little bit of something that you might get excited about adding into your practice routine or discovering something. Murray in BC, Jeff in Peru, OH in the UK. Awesome, everybody. Incredible. Okay, so let's get to it. Exercise 1. Oh, by the way, for those of you joining, I can't think of the word. You want to open up the description. Below this video, there is a PDF, a link to a PDF that will show you these exercises in tab, okay? Expand. Thank you, Jody 1. Expand to the description right below here, okay? Got a little handout for you. What's up, Rui? Hello. Okay. We always start these with some variation of the chromatic warm-up. And tonight's no exception. Martin, hello there. Audible headaches in the house. Awesome. Thanks for joining. So I've probably done this one before, maybe, but always gives you a little bit of a little twist of just a chromatic type of warm-up picking exercise just to get the fingers moving. Calvin, excellent. Welcome. Okay. So this particular sequence is going to go index finger starting at the 2nd fret, and then pinky on the fifth fret, and then middle finger on the 3rd fret, ring finger on the 4th fret. So it's going to go, okay? I like it. We got the going acoustic today, which is just fine, okay? Should be able to do most of these on the acoustic as well. So, okay, so we're going index, pinky, middle ring. And of course, we want to go down, up, because we're working on our alternate picking, right? And so you start on the low string, 2nd fret to the 5th fret there, and then just go up each string. Nice and steady. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Try to keep a really even, consistent tempo on that. Okay? If you have to go slower than what I just did, then do it. Okay? But it's more important for you to pick these correctly and with nice, smooth timing than it is to go fast. The quickness will come the more that you just work at a level where you're executing everything properly. Okay? So once we get up top, you move up 1 fret, and we're going to come back down in reverse. So it's going to go pinky, index, ring, middle. Come down all the strings that way. What's up, Chad? Faisal, what's up? Hello, Andrew Tube. Excellent. All right, so let's put a few of these together, and then once you get back down, you move up another fret, and then just go back to the original ascending sequence, 1 fret up, descending sequence, and just do that for a couple minutes. Get the fingers nice and warm. Work on your picking a little bit, and as always, pay attention to a little bit of smooth timing in there as well. So we're going to try this again, starting from the 2nd fret, and I'm going to count it out. Darren in Texas, what's up? All right, 1 and 2 and down, up, down, up. So that's just a couple of iterations on how, just showing you how to work your way up the neck. Of course, you want to do this for a couple minutes, get loose, get things going with it. All right. Yes, we got the Wolfie out tonight, no bar. And in fact, because it's kind of out of whack a little bit, I had to unlock the nut and just tune with the tuners. And I thought, no, I'm not even going to touch the tremolo tonight. All right. Okay. So on to exercise 2. And by the way, if we finish early with these, as always, leave your questions in the comments. I'll go back over if we have time at the end of the session. Any guitar-related question you might have, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I will try to answer those questions. Ozman, what's up? The McC. I got a little carbonated beverage in here. All right, so let's go to exercise 2 now. Excellent, Chad. Right on, man. Thank you, sir. Anthony. All right. So I want to kind of introduce this sort of concept about like sort of 1 octave scale patterns and sort of transplanting them across the neck, because it's really useful to be able to understand how to move these around the neck on different string sets. So I've got the first exercise, 2A, is going to be the A major scale. Now, this is just, I don't drink on the job, folks. Just a little bit of Zevia, a little carbonated, carbonated soda, right? I guess that's, soda is carbonated, right? Anyway, every week I'll bring different glassware in here just to have a little bit of fun with it. But okay, so one of the boxes that's really useful, that's what Ken says, that's right. Yeah. So one of the box patterns that's really useful, and we're going to start with the major scale. I'm going to start with the key of A. Okay, I'm going to start with an A note, 2nd fret of the G string. And you've got the 2nd and 4th fret on the G string, or the 3rd string, right? And then you've got the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th fret of the B string, 2nd, 4th, and 5th on the top string. Okay, so that's a 1 octave A major scale. Now, what you have to understand about the guitar is that this note is all over the fretboard, the exact same note, the exact same pitch. It's here at the 2nd fret of the G. It's also 7th fret of the D. It's also the 12th fret of the A. It's also the 17th fret of the low string. Okay, so that means you can play this scale in all of those locations using these different string sets, right? So if I go, okay, I can now do that here. Now what happens is, okay, you'll notice that the 2nd octave scale on the first sort of measure of exercise 2A is that the fingering is a little different, right? And it's all because of that pesky B string. Okay, it's tuned flat. Everything's tuned in 4ths except the B string, right? Excellent, Chad. I appreciate that so much. Okay, so if you're playing that 1 octave scale on the top 3 strings, it just works out that you're playing your index finger off the same fret. Right, we're anchored at the 2nd fret of the top 3 strings on that first pattern. As soon as we go here, that's going to change. Now I'm playing this with my middle finger to my pinky so that I can do the index finger 1 fret down on the 6th fret of the G string, right? I'm going 7 and 9 on the D, then it's 6, 7, 9 on the G. But then you have to move up 1 fret for the top, for the next 3 notes. 7, 9, and 10 on the B string. Okay, so a little bit of a different pattern, but notice that the fingers or the shapes on each string remain the same. It's just you're moving up or down a fret in order to compensate for the B string. Does everybody kind of see that? Am I back? Did I freeze for everybody? I'm sorry, am I still here? It didn't stop for me. Okay, good. We're going. I'm sorry, Erica. I'm sorry. We got these freezing problems sometimes. Okay, so. Cool. Edward, what's up? Welcome. Okay, so you just have to make it a little adjustment, right? But it's the same pattern on each string, right? You've got 7 and 9, which is sort of the same spread as 2 and 4 on the G. Okay. All right. Good. I'm sorry we're having problems on some of you there for freezing. Okay. But then you've got, okay, Edward, excellent. Welcome to Guitar Tricks. Okay. Then you've got index, middle, pinky. Okay. On the B string, that's the same on the G string here, but it's just relative to the first 2 notes. You have to shift down to get that. And then you have to shift back up because now we're going to the B string to get those top ones, which is index, ring, pinky, right? Okay, so it's just a little bit of that's why these patterns like sort of change a little bit, right? We can't just transplant them everywhere without making that compensation. But once you get used to it, if you work on this a lot, you start to not even think about it, right? Thanks, Dale. Appreciate you checking it out, man. James, welcome. Just joining in. Excellent. Cool. Cool. Yeah, that B string, man. But it makes a lot of other things easier. So it's kind of a toss-up, right? So anyway, there we go. So we've got 2 of those patterns. We get into the second measure. Now we've got... Okay, 12 and 14 on the A. And again, you probably want to, you don't have to. You can use the index ring and then just shift, or usually what I'll do is use the middle pinky. So then get right to the index on the 11th fret of the D, 12 on the D, and 14 on the D. But here, because we're not on the B string, we're sort of on the lower strings. Now we don't have to shift on the last three notes. So it's index, ring, pinky, but we don't have to shift. Okay, so the nice one about this one, because there's no B string involved, you've got this shape that now is the exact same pattern transplanted to the last one, 17, 19, and then 16, 17, 19, 16, 18, 19. Okay, so you see those last two in the second measure are the exact same pattern. And play them with the exact same fingers. Okay, cool. So really valuable to learn to work on this a little bit. Okay, Edward, yes, we're here every Friday, same time. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Awesome. Yep. We're doing a weekly lesson. We also have one on Facebook Live with another instructor, Dave Celentano, on Thursdays. So you might want to check that out as well on Facebook Live. But we are here on YouTube Fridays this time. Okay, so where I want to kind of go with this is that just the idea that you can transplant anything on the guitar to different positions on different strings and have the exact same notes play. Okay. So if you come up with anything, right? If you come up with a little melody, you know, like, okay. Freddie, what's up from LA? Welcome. Okay. It's not just, okay, scale patterns, right? You come up with anything, any sort of like cool little thing you come up with or you're learning, work on trying to move it around the neck a little bit and find all the different spots where you can kind of do that, right? Last thing I'll talk about on this is how to move this into different keys. And so what you need to know are the anchor points for the root notes in these patterns, right? So for example, I started on the A note, okay? So I know that the second fret of the G string or the third string is A. So if I want to move this up to, let's say, D, I need to find a D note on the same string, and then I can just use that exact pattern, just shift it up the neck. Right? Once again, I'm using index, ring, index, middle, pinky, index, ring, pinky. Exact same pattern, just now I've transposed it into the key of D. Okay, I'm playing a D major scale. And so that's how we shift these patterns all over the place, right? So that second pattern in the first measure of 2A, now I can find a D note right here, 12th fret, right? Boom, I just played a D major scale, right? Different position. You can kind of move that around for all of these, right? If you run out of real estate up top, go down 12 frets and play the lower octave, right? So for example, here, instead of me going from this A note on the 12th fret of the A string up to like the 17th fret, I mean, I could do that, but I also have room down here. So I can go down to a D note down here, 5th fret of the A string. And boom, I've got that scale right there, okay? So that's kind of how you can kind of think about these things as modular. They kind of shift around. You play in different keys, different string sets, okay? Of course, you can do the same thing in minor as well. So 2B, I gave you these exact, exact same idea, just with a different pattern for the natural minor scales. So in this case, it's a little bit different. Now you got 3 notes on the third string or the G string, index, ring, pinky. And then it's the same fingers, but shifted up a fret to 3, 5, and 6 on the B, and then 3 and 5 on the top string. Okay. Peter, what's up? Welcome. And Audible Headaches talking about the new favorite, the E minor blues scale. Love it. Okay. Peter's asking, do you rely on muscle memory or your knowledge and ear of the major scale? Yeah, all of it. Okay. It's really important to sort of try and connect your understanding of those whole steps and half steps, how they relate to the fretboard, right? A whole step is 2 frets apart, half steps 1 fret apart, and connect it to your ear and make that connection to the patterns too, okay? We were currently doing A major, Edward. I'm moving now to the minor scale, which is 2B of the handout. If you haven't downloaded the PDF, expand the description down here below the video. I've got a PDF that you can check out for these tabs, okay? Yes, A major does have 3 sharps, does it not? Yeah, I believe so. D has 2, A has 3, circle of fifths, right? That's something for another time. Cool. Okay, so what I'm doing is just transplanting the same idea. All right, so now if I take that pattern and do it on the 4th string or the D string, 7th fret, now you're anchored your index finger on the 7th fret of the 4th and 3rd string, okay? Index, ring, pinky on both those. And then the B string, I've got to come up 1 fret. So it's going to be 8 and 10 on the B string. No worries, Mr. Daniel. Great to see you. Welcome. Everything's great. Okay, natural minor scale in that position. Now, move it up here. Now we're in a case where we've got that index finger is anchored at the 12th fret for all 3 strings. So index, ring, pinky, index, ring, pinky, index, ring. Nice, Chad. Excellent, excellent. And of course, this exact same pattern now, 17th fret of the low string. Start it there. If you want to go an octave lower. Okay? If you want to move it up to D minor. Or, right? Or. All right, so get familiar with these patterns for sure. It's well worth your time to go through and learn as much as you can about the scales, especially the full major scale, the full minor scale, and then the 2 pentatonic scales, major pentatonic, minor pentatonic. If you're all over those 4, that covers a lot of ground, like pretty much everything, right? I mean, I know we've got modes. I know we've got the blues scale. These are all just little tweaks of major, minor, and then the pentatonics, okay? We're just tweaking those. If you understand everything else, stone cold, okay? Excellent, excellent. Yes, Freddie, repetition all over, okay? So just a different way to think of scales. Here's the thing, like there's so many different ways you can learn scales. You can learn scales as a 1-octave patterns like what we just did all over the neck. You can learn them as positional patterns, up and down 6 strings, the cage patterns. You can learn the 3-note per string patterns. I mean, there really is a lot of different ways to learn the scales, okay? And it's all worthwhile. You're going to use all of that, okay? So, just work on it as best you can and try to get as much of it under your fingers. All right, strum exercise. Really simple strum exercise, but again, I can't stress this kind of thing enough about how to get tough. People who are new to strumming just really have trouble with this kind of thing. So I want to just always have some sort of a strum exercise in the guitar workouts. All right, right on, Steven. All right, Ron, excellent, thank you. Okay. So I've got a strum exercise, exercise 3 in the PDF, and we're doing this in the key of G. This is what really common progression. It's the 1 to the 6 minor to the 4 to the 5, okay? Which in the key of G are G major, E minor, C major, D major, okay? Absolutely, Anthony McSee in with the correct chord progression numbers from the key, right? So, I agree, Chad, absolutely. Is it true I'm giving away this guitar at the end of the lesson? Unfortunately not. I would love to be giving away guitars. Hey, by the way, I did see that Gibson's giving away guitars here every week. Check out the Gibson channel on YouTube. They've got, you can enter to win a Gibson. They're giving away a Gibson every week for the next month or something like that. Pretty cool. So. The glass looks like it will fall. It may. I may spill it. Indeed, I bring out the fine glassware. Oh, Fender Play's giving it away too. Well, there we go. Now I've got another place to check it out. That's awesome. Okay, so let's try this strum exercise. We talked about the chords. Yes, and there you go. I like that with the, except Anthony McSee, it's not a Roman numeral 2, it's a Roman numeral 6. The lowercase 6, right? The 6 chord, 6 minor. All right. So let's go with the strum pattern here. And what we see off the top is that it's a down and then a down up and then an up and then another down. Okay. No worries at all, Anthony McSee. You probably knew that. You just typed in the wrong ones, right? And Jeff Sweetwater does as well. Sweetwater gives away lots of stuff every month too. So whenever we're talking about getting your names in as many places as possible, right? Free gear. Okay. So when I put this strum together, I'm going to stay on the G chord. Okay. So it's going to be down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. Okay. Now here's the thing. In order to keep your timing nice for something like this, we got to keep this motion going, okay? And all you regulars out there, you know this. I teach this almost every week, right? About just keeping this going to keep your timing. And when you're strumming, like sort of something that's different than down, up, you know, just strumming all the way through this, okay? What you're doing is adding a little bit of texture when you don't hit every down and up, right? You're just doing some of them, right? Do you need to strum all 6? Sounds a bit heavy. You don't have to strum all 6. You know, there's no rule on this kind of stuff. It's really just musically what you're going for. I mean, for example, a variation of this would be to strum all 6 off the top, or maybe the lower parts, and then just maybe go to the upper strings for the rest of the bar, right? Like you sort of have like a lot of options for this. I mean, the way I tabbed it out is to do all 6 strings until you get to the C and D chord, but there's a lot of personal sort of experimentation and choice in this. That's what music's all about, making choices, right? So if it sounds good, go for it. If it's something that you want to do it, right? Okay, so remember, we want to keep this going, and you only want to strike the strings where it's notated here. And this is, you know, a classic sort of, you know, if I play this faster, you get this kind of thing. Right? And so that's kind of what we're going for. I'm going like really slow right now just to show you. Okay. What you don't want to do is stop your strum. If you go down, down, up, down, like it throws your timing off. You've got this going like this, nice and relaxed. Okay. We'll get to the swing in a little bit. Audible headache. Okay, so let's put it in and do the first 2 bars, G going to E minor, okay? Okay, now it's a C chord. So notice we have not notated the low string. So what's up with that? Okay, you got a couple choices here. Okay, you can focus on strumming just from the A string all the way up. Another thing I like to do is maneuver my finger on the C note here, 3rd fret of the A string, so that it's just touching that low string. And it frets it out, so that if I happen to strum all the strings, that low string's not going to ring out, okay? Now, as we have a little bit of a discussion in the comments, right? Whether to add in the low G note or not, you can do that. G is in the chord. So you can add in 3rd fret of the low string onto that C chord and do all 6. But again, some people find that a little bit muddy, right? So a little bit crisper if you just go with C as the low note. And of course, if you just position the tip of that finger, make sure not to actually fret, although that wouldn't be the worst thing because at least that note's in the chord, right? But if you're just touching it, okay? I wouldn't recommend starting on the upstroke, just to keep the time going, because you never know what might be happening before or after. And so to sort of switch your strums around a little bit might throw your timing off, okay? All right, and then the D chord. In this case, you want to just aim for the open D string. So if you're aiming for the upper strings, that can work. The open A string works as well on the A chord, and I don't find it too muddy. It's still like sort of high enough in register that, but you definitely don't want to have the low string ringing out because it's not in the chord. That sounds messy. So a lot of times if you can pull that thumb around, okay? So let's try this out. We'll try to get through all these. Okay. Now, Ron, you are correct. You can use D7 for the 5 chord. Okay. For that, instead of D, D7 is also a nice choice. Sounds. I kind of shanked it, but you get the idea. Okay. So that's okay too. Muting the E with the thumb. Absolutely. Okay. You could also do that with the C, right? If you can get your thumb around there, just like you kind of do on the D. Okay. So yeah, lots of things to think about here, and always trying to think about just making the strings not make noise that kind of get in the way a little bit. Always something a guitar player has to figure out. Okay, and it's usually just some combination of what can you do with your free fretting fingers or thumb to silence some strings, and what can you do down here to silence some strings. Of course, we're doing wide open strumming. It's going to be left to this hand to do it, right? But sometimes, depending on other stuff, this one is valuable as well, okay? All right, there's your strum exercise for tonight. Hope that was helpful. Going ahead to exercise 4, okay? All right. Exercise 4, I'm going to talk about another way to think of a scale, okay? I kind of alluded to this earlier. And this is a symmetrical box pattern. And this is a little trickier than what we were talking about earlier with A major. And as you can see, I'm going to 3 note per string, and it's symmetrical in that you've got notes in D major, okay? As you can see, starting on the 5th fret of the A string, you've got 2 frets apart, 3 notes, 2 frets apart here. So 5th, 7th, 9th. Okay, you've also got that exact same shape on the D string, and you've also got that exact shape on the string lower than the one you started on, which in this case is the low string, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so What I like about this is that it's super simple. It's 3 strings, and it's the same shape across all 3 strings. Now, what the key is to know, no pun intended, okay? The key to this is to know where your root note is, right? Always make sure that in this pattern, I'm playing in D major, and there's the root note, okay? On the A string, 5th fret. And as long as I know that, what's up, Paul? Welcome. Okay. Then you've got all these notes available to you on a really simple pattern. Okay. Okay. So what I recommend is just sort of getting used to that pattern a little bit and just seeing what kind of things you can come up with, right? Like little licks, little melodies, whatever it is, but you can kind of improvise on this thing. Okay. And it's a really simple thing to remember, right? The fingering I'm using is indeed index, middle, pinky, or index, middle, pinky, because this is a bit of a stretch, right? It's a little bit weird. I mean, I suppose if it's easier for you to do index, ring, pinky, go for it. But I always learned this 3-note per string stuff with the, with the 2 frets apart, always with the middle finger in the middle. And as Mr. Daniel has noted, if you look in 4B, if we go to the relative minor, which is B minor, you've got that exact same pattern. Okay, 5, 7, and 9 on the 3 low strings, but know where your root note is. Okay, and now if we're talking about B minor, you got to know the 7th fret of the low string is where the root is. It turns out it's actually this symmetrical box works sort of a little more naturally for the minor scale, because you can go a full octave in this pattern, as I did in the tabs, 7, 9, and then 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 9. You end up on the root up top of the minor. That's the full minor scale right there. And then you've got the flat 7 here as well, which is always useful. Okay, so just mess around with this kind of stuff. You can come up with all sorts of ideas, all sorts of ways to improvise on a really simple pattern like that. But again, you just sort of, the knowledge of where the notes are within that pattern gives you a little more power. But even to just mess around on it, like, throwing a backing track in B minor, on YouTube or something like that, or the Jam Station on Guitar Tricks, and just mess around with this. Right? You've got notes that work. So that's really easy pattern. I think that could be pretty cool. Okay. All right. Exercise 5. How's everybody doing? Hanging in. Oh, we got right on. Welcome to everybody who's jumped on here in the last 10 minutes or so. Is that like a spread voicing? I'm unfamiliar with that term. I guess you can kind of think of it that way because it's sort of a stretch. Notes not in the same octave. Well, in the case of D major, for example, the root note is sort of in the middle of the pattern. So you have some notes in the upper octave and some notes in the lower octave. But I kind of like that because in real world improvising or, playing or all that kind of stuff, you're always kind of going from above, from one octave down to a lower octave. And, in sort of the real world of improvising or creating music, you're going to be picking notes from kind of everywhere along the fretboard. So we don't always need to think within one octave, right? Like, just having D major here and then just having notes below it, something like that, right? You come up with great stuff. Okay. I mean, just thinking on either side of that root note really kind of opens things up and gives you more options musically, right? All right, so exercise 5, chords using open strings. Thought I'd show you some stuff that maybe you haven't seen before. And so I picked the key of E because we've got, love it, thank you. Okay, so one of the great things that you can do is sort of take familiar chord shapes and just, combine it with open strings. And so what I've done is shown you the key, first of all, 5A, the key of E major, and then in 5B, the key of E minor. I'm going to show you some chord shapes where we're utilizing some open strings that are in the key. So in the key of E major and also the key of E minor, you've got an E note and a B note. So right away, your low string and your top 2 strings are in the key, right? So the first chord of exercise 5A is based off of C sharp minor, which is the 6 minor in the key of E major, right? That's the 6th chord, which is minor. Now, what if instead of playing on the B and E string, that regular bar shape, and just open it up to have the open strings? Suddenly you've got a different sounding, more of a sus kind of chord, right? It's actually not a sus, it's a C sharp minor 7, now that you've added in the B note. But you've got a different flavor there. Instead of that one, now you've got a C sharp power chord with some open strings, okay? You can see the next chord, I come down to an A chord, but instead of fretting the 2nd fret of the B string, I'm going to the open B. So once again, those 2 open strings on the top and an A power chord on the bottom. Now, tons of songs use this kind of thing. So what you get on the A chord is in fact a sus. You've got the sus 2, right? Yeah. You've got some Foo Fighters. Okay? Countless others, right? Go to the B chord. We're still in Foo Fighters territory, but again, it's a B power chord, and you've got the B and E on top. It just has a really nice sound to it, right? Okay? Let me show you a few other ones here, okay? F sharp minor, right? So I'm going to play just the chunk of F sharp minor from the bar chord, but just on the A, D, and G string. Okay, so I've got the 4th fret of the A, 4th fret of the D, 2nd fret of the G. Now add in the open B and high E string. Super cool, right? Great substitution if you're playing in the key of E, instead of just doing a straight up F sharp minor, right? Add a little bit of texture. I use this all the time between the A to the F sharp with the top 2 open strings. So that's the 2 minor in the key of E. And you can even do it with the 3 minor, right? Move that shape up 2 frets. Okay? And it still sounds cool. You can even add the low E string onto those. All right, so just some ideas here on it. I followed up this, or I ended off this particular exercise, 5A, with sort of a different fingering of what would be, it's basically an open E power chord. It's a little tricky to get. You've got the low open E string. You're barring down on the 2nd fret of the A and D string. Okay? But you're adding the B note, 4th fret of the G string, but then you have to curl your hand to get that open B and high E string. Okay? This is another great chord, right? If you don't want to have that sort of really definite resolve of the E major, right? Which is the G sharp note in that chord is what makes it major. If you don't want to necessarily have that and just sort of keep it a little more open like a power chord, you've got that one. Sounds great with high gain, right? Like a lot of distortion. And of course, you could do that with the power chord up here, right? I do this all the time as well. 7, 9, and 9 on the A, D, and G string. Okay. And again, utilizing those open strings for just that super open, rich sound that they can give. So really cool stuff to be had here. So let's look at it for E minor. Again, B and E. And in this case, the open G string is what makes the G note in the E minor chord is the minor third, right? So that's what makes the E chord minor. So what I've got are some chord shapes in the key of E minor, but using that open G. So the first one's not that remarkable because it's an open C chord. The only thing I'm doing differently here is adding my pinky on the G note, 3rd fret of the top string. And that gives you a little bit of an alternate sound to the open E string. But what you can do is move this up 2 frets, exact same shape, move it up 2 frets, and I have it tabbed incorrectly. I apologize for this. I messed up. It should be the 3rd fret of the B string, not the 1st, okay? Everything else is correct on this. So you get like a D major chord, but with the G added to it, which is sort of gives you an add 11. It's an add 11, right? Yeah, sorry about that, Ron. That is a mistake on the tab, okay? So just move that first shape up 2 frets, and you'll be on the correct chord. This is a D add 11. So that sort of gives you a sus kind of sound on that. And then to get to the 1 chord, which is E minor, you kind of do it this way with 7 and 5 on the A and D, open G, open B, and then the B note 7th fret up top. Danny, is there a reason to place your thumb in the middle of the neck to roll your wrist when playing the chords? You know, I don't even think about this stuff. It just sort of depends on what you're doing, okay? Sometimes it's easier for me, just depending on what you're doing, to have that thumb in the middle of the neck and you kind of just move the hand wherever it needs to be to make it as comfortable as possible, but also make it as clean as possible. So every note in the chord is ringing out properly, right? Yeah, you don't want to do that, okay? Everybody, the mistake in the tab, I'm really sorry about that. 3rd fret on that 2nd chord, okay? All right, 1 chord is the E minor. And if you keep going up, now you can get a G chord up here. Same shape as the C chord, move it up so that the root is on the 10th fret of the A string. Another cool sound. And of course, you can do this with the minor 4 and minor 5, which is A minor to B minor, okay? Erica, are you talking about this one, your ring finger? Something's muting the G string. Okay, that's why you got to kind of push your hand as forward as you can so that your fingers are coming in as perpendicular to the frets as you can to make those open strings ring out, okay? All right, so yeah, the A minor, you got this really cool sounding voicing, and you're basically taking the E minor voicing and just moving it up so that the root's A, and then 2 frets up is B minor. And then my final chord shape here is just an E minor add 9. So I'm adding the 4th fret of the D string. This is a great chord. Okay? Adds a lot of character to it. So just some different chords. that you might find interesting. Okay. All right. I still got 3 exercises to go. We're beating the clock now. All right. So I appreciate everyone hanging out. This is awesome. Cool. Yes. E minor, add 9 and black metal. Love that chord. Very, very cool. Okay. Triplet feel. Let's talk about triplet strums. Okay. So this is a really easy strum again. This is an example of we're doing downs and ups. Okay. Now, if we were going to play this in straight time, this exercise 6 we're moving to now, I've got an A7 bar chord, 5th position, right? So barring down on the 5th fret, adding 7 on the A string, 6 on the G string to that. Okay, if you wanted to, you could put your pinky on the 8th fret of the B. Okay. So if we play this with a straight feel, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, what's happening is that we're down and up evenly. Okay. When you move to a triplet feel, which is sometimes called a shuffle, sometimes called a swing, but a triplet feel, you've got, with every downbeat, now you've got 3 subdivisions in there instead of 2. And what we want to do is have that upstroke come in on the 3rd subdivision, which means that you're pushing that upstroke closer to the next downstroke, if that makes sense. And that gives you a totally different feel. So in this case, instead of, if I push that upstroke closer to the next downstroke, now the groove has a little bit of a bounce to it, right? Shuffly, swingy kind of thing, okay? So that's what this exercise is all about. Trying to get to the point where you can shift that upstroke and get a different feel, bringing it closer to the next downstroke. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, where everything's even. I'm pushing that and further, okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4, okay? Great for blues, country, swing, tons of rock, country. Triplet feel or swing feel or shuffle feel is a really common alternative feel to just straight time, right? What's up, Harry? New Zealand, excellent. Thanks for joining. So we got the A7 chord. If we're going to play, let's say a blues, 12-bar blues, that's our 1 chord, dominant 7th. So what I tabbed out in the next bar is a switch to the 4 chord in this case. Now we've got a D9, D dominant 9th chord, which sounds great in a bluesy context. 5th fret of the A string, 4th fret of the D, and then boring down on the top 3 strings, 5th fret. Again, check it out. I'm using this finger to mute the low string so I can strum the whole thing. My final voicing is on the 5 chord, which I've made an E7. And what I've done is taken the C7 open chord and slid it up. Here's our root, 3rd fret of the A string. Move that up to E. Okay. Now I've got 7 on the A, 6 on the D, 7 on the G, 5 on the B. In this case, because we're playing E, you can add in the low and high strings open because they're the root note. Okay? Or a little more streamlined is just to go for the fretted notes, okay? And then you can practice your muting, right? Like up top, I curl my index finger, right? Because I'm fretting the 5th fret on this voicing. I'm curling it so that that high string is fretted, frets out, so I don't have to worry about it. And I got my thumb on the low, right? I could also use just the top of this finger. Okay, so there you go. So really highly encourage you to experiment with the triplet feel. try to get it under your fingers, understand how to get that strum going, because great feel and used in tons of songs, obviously, not the least of which would be the blues, right? All right, a little bit of a chord embellishment exercise here, exercise 7. Playing in the key of G, starting on a C chord, going to a D chord, ending on the G chord, and just adding a little bit of embellishment to it. So this is a pretty common move that you can do to just add a little bit of, if you have room to, sort of embellish something. These are great building blocks. Okay, so I've got the C major bar chord root on the 5th string, 3rd fret. I'm barring down on the 5th fret of the D, G, and B string. It's giving me a C major chord right here. Okay. Now, common move here is to go up the major scale or the major pentatonic scale. Both of those you can think of it. I'm just single notes, 5th fret on the A and sliding it up to 7. Okay. Now I can get the top part of that C chord on my index finger. Once again on the 5th fret of the D, G, and B. Okay, so really simple embellishment that sounds really good. Okay, instead of just hitting a C chord or just strumming it, you do something like this. Okay, sounds really cool. Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for letting everybody know. Yes, expand the description. There is a PDF for the lesson tonight. Now I'm going to do a similar thing up on the D chord in the next bar. I'm adding a little bit extra, okay? Doing the same thing. Now I bar down at the 7th fret of the D, G, and B, and I'm hammering on to the 9th fret of the D string. Okay? That's the move. So I strum, immediately hammer on to the D string 9th fret, and then strum back on the 7th fret of all of those, right? Great embellishment right there, used all the time, okay? Then basically showing you a way to do this on the open G chord. Okay? So showing you how to do it on an open chord here. Strum the chord. This is an open G chord. Hammering on now. Open A string to the 2nd fret. And then you've got like basically what we were fretting up here with our index finger. We don't have to on the G because we've got the open D, G, and B string, giving us that G triad in there. It's a complete G major chord, right? So I'm going. Okay. And then adding in the 2nd fret of the D, open G string, 1st fret of the G. Which, yes, Southern rock sound or just straight up Stones rock and roll sound. Black Crowes, Sound of Rock, CCR, absolutely. Okay. So another thing to mess around with, you're going to see this kind of thing a lot if you get into a little more chord embellishment type riffy kind of rock and roll stuff, country. This works great in country. Okay. Americana, all that stuff. All right, so final lick of the night. Just a little bit of a sequencing lick using A minor in the 5th position. Play it again. Okay. Really slow. Okay, so you got this A minor pattern right here. Okay, and I'm coming down. I'm starting on the top, 8th fret, and I'm skipping a note coming down and going to the note after it. Then I'm coming back up a note, then skipping another note coming down. Okay, that's the sequence, okay? Sorry. That's all we're doing. It's just a sequence to play this a little bit differently than, okay, just coming down the scale, right? I'm adding something a little bit different. And then once I get to that E note, 5th fret of the B string, I'm just coming to the 5th fret of the G. Bluesy bend, right? Just give it a little bit. If you feel better pushing it up, that works too. Okay, I always kind of pull down on the G string with my index. Okay. Now, there's lots of other things you can do. You can do just tiny bits of that. You could actually come all the way down the scale, right? Right, you could work it out so that you could do that whole sequence up and down a scale, right? Come all the way down. Just use chunks of it. Right? When you're improvising, something like that. Right? Okay? These are little building blocks for improvisation, for coming up with leads, right? Another thing I could do here is add in some hammer-ons and stuff, so I don't have to pick all of those. Right? I'm just doing some of the picking and then hammering on other notes, right? Right? So experiment with all of that and get different textures, different sounds just by doing it. Yeah, space out the notes, right? Right? Just mess with the rhythms a little bit, right? Because I did it straight 16th notes coming down. Okay. Cool. All right. So that does it for tonight. Wow. Time flew tonight. I hope that you found something in here to kind of spark some inspiration a little bit, get you working on some stuff. Okay. What chord progression would you do this over? It's A minor scale. So anything in the key of A minor would work. Okay. So, you know, there's tons of progressions in the key of A minor. So if your song's in A minor, that'll work. Okay. All right, Peter. Thank you. King 50. Thanks. Excellent. Anthony McSee, of course. Cheers, my friend. End it off with a little bit from the champagne glass. Guy, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, I've been playing and practicing for decades, man. So, you know, I'm certainly nowhere near where I'd like to be as a guitar player. So every day I just keep going. All right. So thanks for everybody for hanging out. I hope there was some useful stuff here. Next week we'll be back. Same time, same place. Cheers, everybody. Okay, Rui. Excellent. You know, that's a good point. You know, if some of this stuff is above you, like, you know, I'm talking theory, all that kind of stuff, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Don't get hung up on it. It'll all fill in the cracks as you keep learning, keep doing it. Okay. You'll start to hear the same things over and over and it'll start to click. Okay. You don't have to understand it all at first. Okay. All right. No more scales. Only tricks from now on. Maybe I will do the guitar tricks session. Tricks session coming up. How about the sprinkler? There's a trick. The sprinkler. I got stage moves you guys haven't even seen yet. All right, cool. Yes, 5 Pacific every Friday. Okay. Excellent, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Yeah, I'll have to get the whammy bar going. We'll do it. Okay. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. I hope to see you all back here in a week. Okay. Take care. Cheers.